Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys Season 2 with your host, Captain Gaige.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. I'm your host, Captain Gaige. This is episode number 49, Season 2, On the Boat, brought to you in part by Seatow Huntington. Are you a member? Visit seatow.com to join today. And the Fisherman Magazine, my favorite subscription to get in the mail. And Clicks Fueling, visit clicksfueling.com. And J&M Seafood in East Northport, visit J&M Seafood and check them out too. Guys, the wind died down. Look at this. The flags, nothing's blowing. Can you believe it? Man, that northeast wind was relentless. It hasn't stopped. In fact, it was forecasted today to be 8-9 miles an hour out of the northeast. And, we had special guest in town. We had Chef Rob. So me and him made plans Thursday morning. No matter what, we're heading out. We're either going to leave at 6 or 7:30. It depended on the tide and the wind and what was going on. So I told him, let's meet down at the boat at 7:30. We'll head out. And we get out there, and a little bit of chop. The minute we get out there, you see some birds, and he throws into them. It really was just a bunch of snapper on some rain bait before we even got out of the harbor. And, we see some 1 to 2s, coming through the bay. And we're like, all right, the sound, I don't see any whitecaps, so we're going to make our way out. Sure enough, we get out there. You got some 1 to 2s rolling through there, and man, it laid down. It's like a lake out there right now, and I got to tell you, it was painful watching those couple of weeks, a week and a half, almost 2 weeks of northeast wind, and really excited that died off. Right now, today, we got a nice window. So again, if you got to go. This is why I'll go out there days. Manny from the West came out. Manny from the West knows best. So he jumped on the boat with me Monday, and we headed out early. And we were hoping he'd head out to the Bonito, the Spanish Max, the Albies, and just, shoot out and get on those. And I gotta say thank you to Manny because, he showed up with the bagel, the coffee, and he knew because he listens to Bay Rats and Buoys. He showed up with a case of Slim Cans, So you got to appreciate the listenership here. And, they're actually paying attention, which is kind of cool. So thank you, Manny. It's going in the cooler for sure today, and I ate the bagel. Yeah, me and Manny shot out there, and man, when I tell you, we always peak out. So listen, I don't care what the conditions are because me and Corey have shot out into the Sound in 3 and 4 foot seas out there and gotten on some jumbo bass. And there were even birds working on those days. The video's got to be epic. Matt from J&M Seafood, he was out there with us on a crazy day, and I took this really awesome nautical picture of him on his boat out there where he was disappearing in the waves, It was really that nautical in the Sound, which we all know it's very capable of. Sound is another body of water. Just depends on which way the tide's going and the wind is going and what's happening. That really sets the conditions. So, me and Corey have been out there in some rough stuff catching big bass. And we've been out in flat glass catching big bass and big blues. But Manny and me get out there and we're like, listen, it's just not worth it to make the run that we wanted to make into 3-foot chop. And, again, it's a center console here. We're not talking, 54-foot Viking. So we're going to stick around local, and we hit the back bays because even in the bay, big charter boats were in the back bays. It's just the conditions called for it. There was no reason to be out there in it. It was nasty. And, it's unfortunate because, Manny, I hit him up Sunday night and said, hey, listen, just by chance I'm heading out real early tomorrow morning. If you're free and you want to come, bam, he didn't hesitate. The answer was yes instantly. And this is why you want to participate and get involved in the videos and comment and interact with us because you will get invited out on the boat. And we wound up sticking around to the back bays, really not much happening. We got on some bottom fishing in the bay, caught a bunch of different species, and then we went all the way into the back. We tried here, we tried there, we bounced around. And then I said, come on, let's shoot into Cold Spring Harbor. We can get around the point at Comstead into the Sound. We'll have our back to the nastiness, and we'll have following sea. We'll get over there, and it's going to be like a lake. Once we get over there, that side is protected from any northeast, and that bay it's always flat when there's wind out of the northeast. It's not bad over there. So we shot through there. We went all the way into the back, and we checked out everything. We were looking for bait, and when we came out, we really didn't have the tide that we wanted for the morning, and either way we were going. And it was low tide back there, but we were coming out of Cold Spring, and that's when you saw cocktail blues and birds working, and we threw into that. Manny hooked into cocktail blue, had a little fun, and it really wasn't like we changed plans. We didn't get to target what we wanted to leaving the dock, and it's funny because we're both boaters. He's got a boat west of us, and when you drove down to the marina, looking at the flags and looking at stuff that's up high that you normally look at, that's a telltale sign of what's happening. And we looked around and we were like, wow, it's actually pretty calm out here. And the minute we stepped foot on the dock, you felt the wind hit you like all of a sudden you got on the water. And it was like, boom. And we just knew. He knew, I knew, but neither one of us said anything. We still got on the boat. We still fired it up and got out of here. And, with still the intentions of heading out and going out and getting on some pelagic species, And unfortunately, Mother Nature said that's not happening today in the Long Island Sound. So change your plans. Go to plan B. And you always got to have a plan B. And in some areas, you can have a plan B. I understand that. Some areas that you go out, it sucks, you come back in, that's it. Call it a day. But at least we got to spend some time and get on some fish, which was fun enough. And we'll get back out on the pelagics when the tide is right and Mother Nature says you guys can go as far as you want today. No problem. So we'll be back out there. Today, Chef Rob was up in town, so we shot out. And we were excited that it laid down for us out there. I mean, we went all the way out. We went across the Sound, and we were looking to go anywhere and everywhere. The radar's in bird mode. We're looking for some bird action. But a lot of the bird action I've been seeing right now has been birds on rain bait, and the most you're going to get out of that is maybe some cocktail blues in our area. Not even the gators. I mean, I put down some live spot today. I had croakers in the live well that I'm sitting on right now. We had some croakers. I always bring live bait with me because if something happens and it turns on, can't get them on the top water and they're mid-column or whatever, I want to put live bait down there and at least hook into them. And we really didn't mark much. We really weren't seeing much out there. The water temperature is still 72 degrees. And it was like 71.3 out there today. It had dropped a little bit, but we got a warm week coming in here. This week is going to be warm. It's not going to help the fall fish coming our way for the fall run. I think we really need this water temperature to drop significantly before we're going to see any of that real action happen. Because, again, last year this time, we were jigging up some monsters. And I got to go back to the captain's log and look and see what the water temperature was at the end of June, and we're not at the end, at the end of September. We're not at the end of September yet, but we're getting close, and we're just 3 weeks away now. This is episode 59. We're 3 weeks away from the 1-year anniversary of Bay Rats and Buoys that we survived our first year, which, for a podcast, that's a big deal. And I'll tell you why, because a lot of people start these things, they do a few episodes, and then they give up. But there's a lot more happening here. Even like tomorrow morning, I got to be in the studio for construction that's going on and stuff. That's even for the winter time, when I'm off the boat. Right now, you're not getting me off the boat. I wish I could sit on this thing 12 months of the year, for sure, But, man, when it gets cold down here, it's no fun to sit here and talk into a microphone on the camera. It's just not. Really isn't. Anyway, if you guys can get out, now's the time to get out. I'm seeing a few guys walk down the dock now, going to head down to their boats, and they'll get out there. Perfect tide right now. You're going to have the outgoing tide, so you get to that mid-ebb tide, the water's moving, and like I said, it laid down. The wind really dropped off, and great window of opportunity on a Thursday. So it's going up tonight. I'm doing the podcast on Thursday, the same day that I usually try to put it up by 6 p.m., we will try to do that. It might be up a little later today. I always apologize for that, but at the same time, you guys are awesome fans, and you guys understand, and I love you. And we love getting you out here on the boat. So, Manny, we appreciate you making the trip. Chef Rob up from the Carolinas. I dropped him and his wife off at the train station with their luggage. They're heading back to the Carolinas now, so he had a very small window. So that happens too. You know, one of my buddies from the office wanted to come out in the studio, and he had a very small window to get out, and we only had a few hours. In fact, we got out. He didn't catch anything as we got back to the dock right here, and he gets off the boat, and my other buddy gets on the boat, and we go back out because we knew we were going to have the right tide, the right minute we got out there. 20 minutes later, my buddy that was leaving the dock, he was 20 minutes from the dock, and I'm sending him pictures with us holding up bass, and he was pissed because he had something to do with his kids, and he had to go do. And listen, life gets in the way. I understand. You know, not everybody gets to go fishing like I do and just get on the boat and go. And I have obligations. I have things to do. But I don't know if you guys notice, but I'm wearing a shirt from one of the most epic movies ever created. And Jaws is celebrating 50 years this year. And there's a reason why I'm telling you guys that. That movie ruined the water for all of us as kids swimming. I don't care how old you are. Right? And some of us, it ruined it a little more than others, I'll be honest. But they're celebrating 50 years. And I want you to go check this out because this was one of the most interesting and one of the best documentaries that I've ever seen as far as the making of a movie. And it's called Jaws at 50. It's on Nat Geo. It's 2 hours long, and it's the definitive inside story to Jaws. And if you like Jaws in any way, you are absolutely going to love Jaws at 50, the definitive inside story on Nat Geo. Check it out. I'm not going to tell you too much about it. I just want you to go see it. Trust me, it is worth the 2 hours. It's fantastic, and the stuff you hear about the cast and what they tell you, how the shark was designed to be in fresh water, so when they put it into salt water, the electrolysis and the galvanic process, you know, the reason we put zinc plates on our boats, you know, so that the weaker metal takes the abuse, well, the shark never worked. You know, every time they needed the shark to work, the shark did not work. They were way over budget. You're going to hear things, you're going to hear true stories from the heart, from the guys that produced it, from the director, and I mean Spielberg and so many other directors that, you know, worked with him and had his back and consoled him during times where they thought this thing was going to get kiboshed. You know, they were way over budget and they didn't know if it was going to work. And boy, it's one of the most epic movies ever made. And Jaws is 50 years old, so I'm rocking my Jaws at 50 shirt here for episode number 49, just 3 weeks away from our 1 year anniversary. And, yeah, go check that out on Nat Geo, 2 hours. It's called Jaws at 50. I think you'll be able to find it. If you can't find it, I'll put a link in the description of this YouTube video. And again, all you audio fans that are listening on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast and you're listening to this audio version, there is a video version available at sandcitycharter.com, and you just click on the word podcast. It'll take you right to the podcast page. Actually, you can get there right from the homepage. So if you just go to sandcitycharter.com, you can watch the video that plays. That's all kinds of fun little clips that we put in there from the charters and from what we do here on the North Shore. It's even got video from the Lighthouse Festival from previous years. And you'll see some of the fish that we catch just watching that video. But right below that video on the homepage, on the landing page, is the access to the podcast. And you can click on it right there. The audio version, the post, the blog, everything's there. You can get it all. So the reason I'm telling you that is because on the video version on YouTube, a lot of the guys are starting to build up the comments. And Frank, you know, you actually listed what you went to High Hook and bought, which was awesome. But now I'm going to tell the other listeners, go take a look at Frank's little list that he compiled on there, because you might want to hone in on the same things. A lot of guys, I take out a bag and I show you lures and I say, here, go buy this. A lot of people listen and they go out and they buy that lure just to put it, that's just fishing. Us, fishing addicts are just like, stopping and buying tackle is like going to the grocery store at this point. Jesus. Really is. I love it. I don't care. But I can go in there, you look at everything and you say, all right, I have 20 of those, I have 5 of those, do I need another one? Or how about when you're at the fishing shows? That's when it gets out of control, because everything's at a little bit of a discount, so now's the time to get it, which is where I go to buy things in bulk, just like this year at the Ward Melville show. I know we have a show coming up. I know the Fisherman Magazine is hosting a show at the Huntington Hilton. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video too. I'll put it up. I'll put some of the details up on the screen. That is coming up. I don't want to say the date because I don't have that intel in front of me, so I'm not going to give you the wrong date. I'll just put it on the screen. And we all love going to the fishing shows. And again, my phone number is on the website, so I get a ton of spam calls and a ton of calls all day long, even during the podcast. I don't shut the phone off. And this way, if something important happens, I could always put the podcast on hold and just put a cut in there and come back. And, even though it is unedited and raw. So I like you guys to know that I sit here for 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes sometimes, and this is unedited, uncut, totally raw, unscripted. So I sit down. I have no idea where I'm going to go with this thing. And I was just telling you about the different stuff that we like to buy and do. So I pulled out a bag today, and I showed Chef Rob, and he was like, bro, I got to take a picture of that and show that to my buddies. And I'm like, well, wait a second. What do you mean you got to take a picture of this and show it to your buddies? This is like my private bag of all the good stuff. And, of course, I let him take the picture and show it to his buddies. Because I'm going to show it to you guys, too. Because, and again, it's the All-Pro bag. It's the bag that I got at the Ward Melville High School Fishing Show. Because that's where we buy different and new things every year. Again, like I said, we support local tackle shops. So it's big and important. And when I say that, I bring rods and reels over to, Cal Harbor. I get a lot of gear here in Huntington at Rob at High Hook. He actually was a sponsor of my fishing tournament, and that was fantastic. So I like to mention different shops and stores that I support. So I showed you a video in episode 48 and maybe 47 of High Hook and some of the walls and some of the stuff that I go in and I pick up. Well, Frank made it his business to head on over there and pick up stuff. And in the description on YouTube, he wrote, hey, I took advice from you and I went over there and I picked up this, and this. And you guys might want to go look at that description in the video and see what somebody else is using. Even though I'm going to show you right now what I'm using and what we use on a fairly regular basis. No matter what's jumping in the water right now, we're pretty much tied up and ready to go. You all know the Yeti is sitting right there. I could grab a cold Diet Coke, even though I have one out. I don't know which way this would be, up or down, but I think this way is going to be. All right, so there you go. From the NLBNs to the Nomads, the Chug Norrises. These things are hysterical, called Chug Norris. Okay? And anybody that knows me from my past. So, this lure right here actually was given to me by Anton Jr., and I took this into the back bays, and this thing was getting crushed when there was bunker back there, and it was mid-sized. Every cast I threw this thing was getting hit by bass. It was an absolute blast. Anyway, so everything's in here, ready to go. Grab this bag, and I pretty much got everything. You got your Squid Treks. You got your Nomad Vibes. You're always going to have some sort of a spook ready to go, because those are fantastic when the big bass are blowing up on the top water. And, you just got to be ready. So right here, just having this bag out and about, well, I always know where it is. It's pretty close by at all times. And there's great stuff in there, And you got to have a bag. I'll see if I can take a video of that bag better than me holding it up here in front of the camera for you guys to see in the B-roll in episode 49. I'll put it on there so you guys can see some of the lures and stuff, because every week I do like to show you guys some stuff, and that's why I'm telling you about Frank stuff. Take advice from some of the listeners and go see what other guys are using when they get out there. And Frank heads out on, days like today where it's nice, flat like glass, and he can get out there on his boat. And he's at a Northport area. And, we're like in between great fishing right now. I'm not seeing a ton of gator blues. We're seeing a ton of cocktails. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of cocktail blues. Really is. But I haven't caught a 15-pound bluefish in our area, in a while now. And, I mean, have we caught some decent blues, some 10s and some 10-pound blues? Yes, we have on charters when we go out. And we would go with Scott, Matt, and Jera. I mean, Scott grabbed a bass and a blue in the same shot there. So he reeled in 2 fish, and one was a keeper bass and the 35-inch bluefish. So he got a gator blue. So I can't say we haven't caught any, but it's not like we could get out there and it's going to be happening like this time of the year. So I think we really need that temperature to drop. I really do. And the amount of bait. Right now there's a ton. Everybody walks up and down the dock and stops and looks because they see a ton of peanut bunker in the water. But if I threw the cast net over them, I'm seeing them get blown up with snapper right now. If I threw the cast net over them, they're the tiny ones that are going to get their gills caught in the cast net. And then when you shake the cast net to get them out, they're still stuck. Their gills are still stuck in the cast net. And you wind up killing, tons of them. And I'm not looking to kill anything, actually. So, for you to use it for bait, that's great. Cast it, take them, go use them as bait. And what you don't use, throw, freeze, do what you got to do with it, There is a limit on harvesting 100 bunker per day. So you can't go throw your cast net and catch 200 bunker and freeze them and keep them. You're only allowed to harvest 100 a day. So, we try to stay. The regulations are there for a reason. Anyway, we talk about it in the video with everybody who's seeing bait where, and tons of rain bait out there. The spearing around the dock, they're a little bit bigger now. You throw the cast net, they're decent size spearing. And we'll throw the net just before we leave for a bottom fishing trip. So we have frozen spearing, we have clam, we have fresh clam, and we have live spearing, and we always take some spot with us. So we have croakers on the boat. So the live well always has some bait in there that we like to use live stuff. We do. It's great. Match the hatch. You don't even have to match the hatch. You're putting down the hatch, and which is even better. But that little jig that I showed you last week, I hope you took it, Manny, because I told you to take one. And I had bought a whole bunch of them, and I told him, here, take this because it's just an epic little jig. You got to have it. And I have so many jigs on the boat that it's like, what's it going to be? A big deal. So I hope you took it. And I hope you use it because it is fantastic. And you caught a whole bunch of different species with it. You caught black sea bass, you caught porgies, you caught, and, a whole bunch of different stuff with it. You could jig it. I was catching black sea bass the other day with it. And I literally was letting it sit on the bottom. And I would just lift it a little bit, and by leaving it on the bottom, it was getting eaten faster than me up and down yo-yoing, and I'm not even kidding. Corey and Chris were like, what the hell what are you doing? Why? I'm like, bro, I'm just leaving it on the bottom. Don't tell anybody. So right now around the harbor, peanut bunker and spearing are getting blown up. The snappers are in full swing. So if you want to take your kid out and go snapper fishing, now's the time. I see them down there at Northport Town Dock when I make my rounds on the boats and get down to the harbors. You see the parents down there. Dads have their kids on the dock. And I love seeing that because that's where I started. That is where it all started for me on the Northport floating dock. Then I graduated and got off the floating dock because you realized how limited you were over there. And I actually went to the park and fished off the park next to Woodbine Marina, which is really just a closed-down marina right now, So that's where it all started. It's where it all happened. My grandfather took me to Modell's and bought me a 2-piece fishing rod. He had already given me a metal rod, a metal snapper rod. I have it. I have the rod. I really do. And I should bring it on the boat and show it to you guys. But that was like the original rod. And then he took me to Modell's because he wanted me to have the newer technology. And he bought me a 2-piece rod with a decent reel. And that was all it took. Thank you, Grandpa Ruben. He was the stage manager for the Palace Theater for 40 years. So I had a big connection to Broadway as a kid. Always at the Broadway shows and backstage and all that fun stuff. And so he was the reason. So when I see people on the town docks fishing, I try to avoid lines and move out of the way. Maybe give them a little tip, a little advice. So how many of you guys are catching croakers? You guys going out and actually putting clam down and catching croakers like we are? It's unbelievable. So you can catch your own bait. Really can. And we believe that going out with live stuff really gives us an edge when we get out there. And we've fished next to boats where, they were fishing eels. One guy's over there fishing croakers. One guy's fishing bunker. And the eels just weren't producing. The croakers were getting killed, and the bunker always works. But let's talk about the bunker. I got to have a shirt. You got Jaws 50 now. There's going to be a shirt. Where's the bunker? Where is the bunker? Who's got the bunks? And, I don't want any frozen. And, I like fresh bait. So it's got to be fresh if I'm cutting it up to chunks and using it. We can cut up the spot and use them. We filleted them. We made strips with them. We've done a lot of stuff creative. Me and Corey get out there. We're real, we use everything to our advantage. And it works, So we don't knock it until you try it. Don't knock it. And days like today and Monday with Manny. We got out there last week with Chris, me, Corey, and Chris. So we had, and I told you about that trip already. So, we've had some cool trips that have had a ton of fun. And charters are still going on this weekend. I know we'll be back out there, back at it, and bottom fishing. And, I get calls from clients that go out a couple times a year. And they'll say, hey, look, I want to take my father-in-law out. I just need the rods to bend. I don't need to get on a striper or, it's nothing specific, when it's like that, And then there's days where I get a call, and it's like, you got to call me when the minute that striped bass bite turns on, I got a whole laundry list of guys that want to get out on the water and catch fish that have already been out with us. So we're waiting for it to turn on, waiting for the fall run. And like we said, is it going to be late this year? Has it already begun in certain areas? So you got to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening and talking to guys. I was just talking to a couple guys in the marina here that had taken off and heading out of Shinnecock. They're going to get out on the tuna. They're going to go hit the canyons. I was talking to the guy that won first place in the Bay Rats and Buoys first annual Striped Bass Invitational from June 22nd, Tom Trueheart. He caught a fish. It took like 8 minutes. I think it was like 8 minutes, and he had the first fish caught and won first fish caught division, first fish on division. So he landed the first bass. And I was at his shop this week, right here in Huntington, right where East Main Street and 25A there. Well, 25A is East Main Street when you go through there. He's right on the corner where you would go up to Greenlawn, right by the 7-Eleven there, where 25A forks off to go up to Greenlawn. That gas station that's on the corner there on the point, that is him and his dad's shop. So if you ever need a good place to go, stop by Tom Trueheart. I don't have a name of the place. I should take a picture and put it on here. But the reason I'm talking about Tom is because when I texted him, told him I was stopping by, shoot me the address, I called him Tuna Tom because he's been posting pictures. July, August, and September, he keeps his boat on the South Shore so that he can run out and get on the tuna. And he'll go out by himself. And he's been crushing it. So I don't think it's going to be long before you see me holding up a Long Island tuna fish that I'm not in Florida doing it in Port Everglades, that I'm going to be here holding a tuna. I mean, if it isn't because of Corey and those guys that we go out with, that he goes out with because of guys in our marina and that we're friends with and guys that he knows in the business, or is it going to be some of the guys from the tournament and even guys like Dave here in my marina? He's shooting out on a 56 Viking to go head out to the canyons and, was telling me he's leaving out of Shinny. So seems like a lot of guys going out to the canyons leaving from Shinnecock. And the bite's been red hot, and I'm excited. I really am. So I'm glad that's still happening here on Long Island because maybe be a good time before I wait for the bass and some of the bigger fish to make their move into the area here to go out and get on some pelagic species here, even if it's, the mahi. Doesn't matter what it is. We're going to do it. We're going to give it a shot here. So I'm excited. Always excited to try new things. And I'll tell you guys my experience. I'll take the cameras and show you along the way what what we're doing and how we're doing it. Just like this weekend, when we get out there, we'll make a video. I could have made the video today with Chef Rob, and I was having such a good time with Chef Rob. Even when I put the croaker out, just put one croaker out. I'll show you how the setup that we use and the way that we hook them. I will finally make that video. I keep talking about it, so I got to do it. Anyway, it is almost autumn. It's not autumn yet. The autumnal equinox is Monday, I think around 2:15. So around 2:15 on Monday, around 2 o'clock p.m. Monday, it'll be officially fall. And it's like 80 degrees here today. I'm dying. You've seen me say it in the videos. I'll tell you I'm dying down here, and you see the sweat marks on my shirt, and there's nothing I can do. I'm sitting in the sun. I'm cooking. And you guys got to keep up with the comments and the Facebook. You saw I posted a video. If you follow me on Facebook too, guys, that's real important. It's Gaige Simon. I'll put the link in the video. But follow me on Facebook. We did build up the Facebook account now. It's got 5,400 followers and growing. And I am starting to put up videos of, put up the conditions the other day. I was out in the Sound, and it was gnarly out there. And I had to make a run on the towboat and go do some stuff. And, when I'm out there and it's real gnarly, I'm going to show you guys the conditions just so you see, it's how you become a good captain. You learn how to make way through some of the rougher conditions because guys, even when they go offshore, they head out and it's like glass and they come back into seas out in the canyons. The boat's rocking, taking on water, just going side to side and taking on water. And there they are in a 56-foot Viking, so you got to be prepared for everything out there. So it's good training, when you get out there in rough conditions. I always tell people, a good skipper wasn't made in calm seas, so you really got to get out there, and that's why I venture out in all different conditions. I don't just wait for it to be like glass to go. Me and Manny knew it was going to be snotty with a direct northeast-east wind, and we got out there. You saw the whitecaps. I mean, it was gnarly 3-foot whitecaps, and, for a center console, 3-foot whitecaps, it's nasty up on the reef. So you don't even want to go through the reef to get to other parts and tuck in because you're going to have to come back through it, even though it's following. But when you get the wind against tide, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's just gnarly. So that takes the fun out of it. We're out there to have fun. We really are. And we'll go through rough conditions to get on some serious fish. Me and Corey and Matt at J&M Seafood. And, I was back there filming. You had Antonio and Rich and Cody and the whole gang in there. And, I forget the chef's name, but the chef, he's phenomenal over there. And they're going to have some really big news. I'm excited to launch that with a video for Matt and help him out and promote it. Something big going on his end. Can't wait to tell you guys. It's not too far off. Just like me heading into the studio tomorrow morning to get some construction done. So a lot of cool things happen. It's that time of the year. Kids are back in school. Everybody's got obligations. People don't get on their boats as much as they can or as much as they would like to. And I'll put up the information for the boat show. The fishing show that's coming up. Yeah, you got Tobay. You had Tobay. You had the Tobay boat show. Now you got the one happening, the Norwalk boat show. I think that's going on today. So I think Norwalk's having their boat show today. It'd be a great day to shoot across the Sound. It laid down out there. But I'm here. Bay Rats and Buoys. One of my favorite things to do. I love you guys. And we got great listeners. And to Andrew, Mike Viola, and Eric Hughes, the champ is here. Dun, dun, dun. You all know the song. The champ is here by Jada Kiss. So I put him in, I told Mike I was going over to see Tom and give him the trophy. He said, oh, yeah, that's just a participation trophy. He didn't win the whole tournament like we did. And, funny, Mike, during the tournament, when I posted the leaderboard and showed Eric in, top position with a 46-inch bass that Andrew landed. So he's the real champ. The champ is here. Way to go, Andrew. And I saw Andrew out. We did meet up out there in the Sound the day that the Dolphin were going by last week. And, great to see these guys out there. I mean, I'm going to tell you, the next generation of hardcore fishermen is right there in that Boston Whaler. Just telling you now. And he won the tournament for a reason. And they got targets on their back. I know that everybody is gunning for you three next year. So you better put camouflage on your boat, sneak out, do something, because people are going to be looking for you. You guys got targets on your back now that you were number one. You were the champs. And I love it. I love that you guys were the champs. I do. I even said it during the captain's meeting. Hand to God. Somebody raised their hand and said, is it too late to sign up? And I said, absolutely not. Tournament's not till tomorrow. So if you want to sign up, that's fine. And he said, okay, I want to sign up. And I said, uh-oh, we got a ringer here. And guess what? I wasn't wrong. He won the tournament. Just like that. 46-inch bass, taking home the $2,500 grand prize, thanks to J&M Seafood. Matt jumped in on that right away. There was zero hesitation. I sent him the link to the sponsorship page. He writes back, I want to be the grand prize sponsor. As fast as I said to you, I sent it to him and I hit the button, was as fast as the response came back, I want to be the grand prize sponsor. And we thank him for it. We thank J&M Seafood and the relationship that we have. I mean, they're unbelievable. And if you guys are anywhere in the area and get to East Northport, it's not the easiest to find because he's behind a strip mall. But he's off of Pulaski Road. You can get to him off of Larkfield and Pulaski. He's at the corner of Larkfield and Pulaski behind the convenience store. There's a convenience store on the corner. It was a gas station when I was a kid, but now it's a convenience store. It's also across from 7-Eleven. But behind the convenience store, you'll see signs on the fence, J&M Seafood with an arrow. That's where you want to go for the best, freshest seafood. He's a huge wholesaler. So he sells to a lot of restaurants and to a lot of people. So there's a good chance you're already eating his seafood and you don't even know it. But you have an opportunity to go into his shop and pick it up for yourself. So visit J&M Seafood. See Matt, see Rich, see Antonio, see Cody and the boys. Tell them Gaige sent you. Captain Gaige from Bay Rats and Buoys. Because we got a lot of good shit going on and we're excited. Jaws celebrating 50 years. Go watch that. Jaws at 50, the definitive inside story. And I'll let you know when it blows up. The minute it blows up and there's major things happening here, if you follow my Facebook page, you will see the minute it's blown up. I will go live. So I'm going to start doing some live videos and some different stuff. I'm really ramping that stuff up, having a lot of fun doing it. And we have a great listenership. We have a ton of fans. Bay Rats and Buoys is blowing up here thanks to you guys. We love you. We couldn't have done it without you. The tournament couldn't have happened without you. And, we really appreciate you guys signing up for the tournament. The 20 boats that signed up made that tournament what it is. Chef Rob talked about it today. He was driving the Slimer. All right, the first guy that signed up for the tournament, Chef Rob was captaining his boat. The first guy that signed up. The minute he found out about it, I didn't even have the link on the website yet to actually fill out a form. And he found the link and signed up. And before you know it, I'm looking in an email, and I'm like, holy cow. He just signed up for the tournament. He was the first boat. And we're grateful for all those guys that made it an epic tournament. And even Chef Rob said what the stories they have from that tournament. He was wearing the tournament shirt today on my boat. Coincidence? I don't think so. Thank you, Chef Rob. He knows I love him. And me and Corey are heading down to South Carolina, get on some reds, do some fishing down there with Chef Rob. So a lot of cool things in the works. That happened recently. I called him before he even came on the boat today, and said, we're coming down. And I really want to get down there and, witness on the outside the mullet run. And something that we don't witness here. I want to see different things, you know what I mean? He's catching black-tip sharks from the dock, with stingrays. And he's got epic stories. And it was either go fishing today with him or have him sit down and do the podcast, which would have been forever. I love having him on, but I really needed to go out there and get him on some fish. What did he catch? I think he caught like a 9-pound halibut today. It was like a fluke, like the size of, it was like a giant fluke. And you need Chef Rob in your mix. He's got to be in there. Go check out what Frank wrote on the YouTube channel from last week. Guys, make sure you comment on everything so that I know you're listening so I can invite you out on the boat. You're listening to the podcast. You deserve to come fishing with me and Corey. And if Corey's not around, tough shit. You go with me. We don't need Corey. See you later. Bye. No, we do. I love Corey. You know that. And he got on that 120-pound swordfish. That was epic. And got a picture of it. You want to see? It was barely hooked. This thing was barely hooked. And when you see where it's hooked, you'd be like, holy cow. So he's had 2 fish that I've witnessed that he's landed that the hook was not in too good. And the minute I've turned the camera on, he's dropped a ton of fish too. So there was one day he was like, dude, it's definitely the camera. The minute you turn the camera on, it's like, poof, fish is on. He cast out. Me and him are great at running a gunner because I'll run, he'll gun, and I'll put you right in there. We don't disturb him, and he could cast far enough to get into them that we don't have to be right over them. And boom, he'll hook up. And the minute he hooks up and I grab the GoPro and I'm recording him, fish off. True story. Multiple times. So come have some fun with us. Interact with us on Facebook, YouTube, Sand City Charter, wherever you're listening to this thing. Get involved. We got a lot happening. You got the Bay Rats and Buoys Fishing Club going down for 2026. That's happening in that's a few months away. Jesus, we're already September, so we got October, November, December. So we got 90 days. We probably got about 100 days left of 2025. So we're into the last trimester of the year, and let's make it a great 100 days as we bring in 2026. We'll launch the fishing club. We'll be at the boat show. We're going to have merchandise. There's a lot of cool things happening for Bay Rats and Buoys, and again, we couldn't do it without you guys, so greatly appreciate you. And wait till you see the shirt I'm wearing next week. There's another shirt next week. Manny! Thank you, my brother. Manny from the West knows best. He didn't bring Diet Pepsi. He didn't offer me Ranger tickets. You guys see that post on Facebook? They asked me if I would take Ranger tickets and a case of Pepsi. And I said, yeah, Rangers versus the Islanders, and I think I said 10 cases of Diet Coke, and I'll consider a 4-hour charter, because that's what they were asking, if I would take Ranger tickets and a case of Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, for a 4-hour charter. And sorry, ride or die Islanders, and big hockey fan here. Opening game October 11th, I will be there, and very excited. Preseason starts less than a week. And I will not miss any of the action. I'm even going to go stop by the Seawolves and see Stony Brook take on Oswego and see some of the local teams play. Stony Brook actually comes to Dix Hills Ice Rink. You can go see them right here in Dix Hills. Shoot over to the rink, take your kids to a college hockey game. And, and you see the size of these kids, it's absolutely unbelievable. And, they get to, stand out there in a line, and your kids can give the kids pound as they're walking in. And they see the size of them, and that they're, 6'5" and 6'4" and big kids, and then you see the kid that's 5'10". Anyway, we're throwing some hockey in there because some of the comments brought up once I put in the Gaff hockey stick. Now you guys know. So wait till you see next week's shirt. It will be geared towards Bay Rats and Buoys. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in every week. You guys are the best. Love you. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube. Click the likes. Got to hit the like buttons, guys. We got to get more involved. I need some more interaction I need to know who's out there. Brooklyn, big shout out to you guys in the audio version. Brooklyn is a big part of our listenership. Brooklyn and even Port Washington. We got a decent amount of listenerships in Nassau County. So very grateful for that. We're going to take over the sound. This is going to be a Bay Rats and Buoys sound takeover, 100%. Get involved. I'll keep you moving and grooving out there and let you know where the fish are. All right? Wishing you guys bent rods, tight lines, and I'll see everybody out there on the water. Captain Gaige, signing out. Over and out, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. Be sure to visit sandcitycharter.com and follow Captain Gaige on all our social media channels.